Let's talk about Symfony form and validating collection of data. Consider a simple scenario where we submit number of products for validation. Each product has two simple fields, a barcode and a name. From a Symfony perspective, we need to have a collection type because it's an array of data. We also need an entry type, which is going to be our product type, where we can define our two simple fields, barcode and a name. Now let's imagine for just a moment there are no constraints in a form. That means when we submit an array of products for validation, it passes through with no errors to display. Now let's add our first simple constraint. We want to make sure that our barcode and name fields have some values. In this case, we can add NotBlank constraint for both fields. Finally, I want to add a custom constraint. Our custom constraint checks if barcode value exists in our database. If it does, I want to mark it as not valid. This is a very simple example for Symfony form and common scenario. However, there's a big drawback to this approach. The form doesn't actually scale up very well. For example, if we have 1000 products to validate, we have to make 1000 separate calls to our database. Usually, we also have multiple constraints in a form, which means we have to make even more calls to the database. Clearly, this is not going to perform very well. So one good way to improve the performance would be to move our constraint to the collection type, where we have access to the whole array. From there, we can collect all barcodes and make just one call to the database. I'd like to go through this example with you and optimize Symfony form together. I hope you can learn something new from this video today. So let's begin. I'm going to create a brand new Symfony project using Symfony CLI. Okay, let's look at it. I'm going to also need a Symfony form component, Symfony validator, and profiler pack. The profiler pack will be useful to see what is happening in their form behind the scenes. Here we go. So I'm going to create a brand new index controller. Now we create an index controller. We'll just return some response, JSON response with no content at the moment. We need to register a root. Let's do that. Let's see if that loads. Symfony server start. I'm just going to refresh this page. It's loading, and this is this Symfony profiler where this is loading the latest information about the request. And we'll use that in just a moment. Okay, so now there's another thing we need to do. We need to extend abstract controller. And now we are ready to, actually, let's first define our data, static data. This is going to be collection of products. So product name is going to be product 1. Second is going to barcode we're going to use for this example, very short name. And then we create a second product 2 with a barcode 321. This is our static data assigned to a variable. Obviously that data can be retrieved in a different way from the request or from the database, anything you like. But for this exercise, we want to focus on something else. So we're creating a form, and it's our collection type because it is a collection of data. So we use that, then the form will submit that data. And that obviously is not the end. We just registered that collection type, but we need to edit some options. But before we do that, I want to create a form product type. And let's do that. Product type abstract. So this is where we override one of the methods from a build form. We use a builder to add our fields. So we know we have a name field, which is a text type, and we need another field, a barcode. Okay, no constraints at the moment, nothing's too special. Gonna add type at the end, and now we're going back to the collection type. We can, obviously we don't have any initial data, but for the collection entry type, we can now define product type class, and we allow true because there are multiple records in that array. And let's see if I refresh this page. Now look at the request. You can see the form has been populated. So this is a collection type we've just created, and that collection type takes a product type. So each product type has one product assigned, and it's validating those fields. And at the moment we don't have any constraints, which means there are no errors to show to the user. Now let's add some constraints. First constraint will be new NotBlank, and we'll do the same for the barcode, and those fields cannot be blank. So we quickly add a second field, which has third product, which has no barcode, and we should see one error. Let's look at the latest request. You can see first record, no errors, second, and the third one, barcode is empty, and the top, where's that error? The top barcode is now saying the value should not be blank. So we know we need to add that in as a requirement for this product. Now let's look at this product type again. This is the time to add our new constraint. I'm going to add a validator folder. This is where we can keep constraints. So let's call it barcode exists constraint and extends constraint, Symfony constraint. So to conform to form structure, we need to extend the constraint. And right now, barcode exists validator is going to be the logic where we handle the values from the form. So that extends a validator, constraint validator, and we know it needs to implement a validate method. This is where the value is going to be coming from the barcode. Okay, so we know, going back to the product type, we assigned, we haven't yet. So let's add that in. A new barcode exists constraint is now assigned to the barcode field. That means the value for the barcode is going to be coming through this validator. So let's refresh that page. And as you can see, we are outputting for each record these two values for the barcode. We can do some logic now. Let's say a simple if the value, for example, equals to the barcode. If the barcode is equal to 1, 2, 3, we want to say we want to add violation. Let's say barcode exists, and just bear in mind this is a simple if, but that's gonna be handled by a different dependency, which would tell us if that barcode is valid or not. We can also pull these values from the dependency and then validate there. But for this example, we just want to raise an exception for, not exception, but violation for this first record. So I'm going to refresh this page, and we're going to take the latest request. And as you can see, we raised the violation for first record where we see a value 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is very typical structure, typical collection type where we have a product type as single item. Now, this is where problems start, where we see for example, massive amount of products being uploaded, and suddenly that if statement, when we pull from a value from the database, is very not optimized for the amount of products, which means there'll be 1000 products submitted and there'll be 1000 separate calls for validating that barcode. And this is not what we want. The performance for this is going to slow down drastically. Okay, so the solution for that, or a massive improvement, is going to be taking that constraint that we just created and moving it to the collection type. And that means we now have access to a whole collection. We can collect these barcodes and create one query to tell us the differences from our database. So here, the value is no longer a value of each barcode. It's going to be, let's see, for each value as item. Obviously, we need to do some more checks. But for now, we're going to trust this item. This value is an array, and it comes as a value, key name, and barcode as each item. So if item, let's say barcode, is equal as 1, 2, 3, we can now raise that violation. Okay, so we know this is an array. Obviously, we can do some checks if the value is actually an array, just so the form doesn't raise an exception. But as you can see, we now raised a violation for that barcode. Now there are some extra things we need to do to handle collections. For an example, we have to add violation, build violation, and add change a path. So let's do that. So we build a violation, and let's be a little bit more tidy. So add path. This is where we can do keys. We can add keys to the violation, and then we say invalid value item code, and then we add that violation in. So now if I refresh the page, and inside my latest request, I can see that the first record, which is a 0 key, a barcode, the invalid value is 1, 2, 3. The value from the barcode is there. So it's not 3, 2, 1, but it's 1, 2, 3. And that should handle that structure. We can extract that when we look through the errors and show specific values not correctly submitted for the violation. Okay, so this is now optimal version, where we handle constraints inside the collection type, and we work on arrays rather than specific values, because that way we would have to make a single request. And one last final thing is that we want to move that collection type to product collection, just so it's very much more reusable. Okay, so that way we override some methods by returning collection type class string, and now we can produce some default values where we can move every option here. We can actually remove that. We now have access to product collection type, and that place we now can say set defaults to be our restraints. Okay, I'm gonna change these numbers so we see fresh data coming in. When I refresh this page, we're going to see violations and submitted data, product 11, product 22. So these values matching the barcode 123 is incorrect. So again, data comes in, one single reusable collection type, where we define the product type And all we need to do now is to extract the errors from the form and show it to the user. So I hope you like this. I hope you learned something new today, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.